Hey there, friends, it's Nick. Right, today I want to take a little step back actually and just talk about something that's been on my mind, a concern, a worry, and that's the dark side of storytelling. And I think the reason I want to do this is because I've spent the last however many weeks putting content on this channel, and it's not a magic bullet, but for people who are interested and want to work on it, there's some really weapons grade stuff here about, increasing the resonance, the connection, the virality of your stories. And that's all good because stories are powerful. They're a powerful way to connect with our clients, our customers, and our tribe. But of course, there's a dark side as well. And I was listening the other day to this podcast about OneCoin. OneCoin being this, well, it seems to be this Ponzi scheme that's built thousands of people out of billions of dollars, and now the founders disappeared and there are arrests being made. And what was fascinating listening to this journalist is when he went around talking to the people who'd been conned, their reaction, which was in general, I don't believe you, you're a hater, you're trying to devalue the investment that I've made. And it really struck me. There was a massive amount of cognitive dissonance going on. And if you don't know what cognitive dissonance is, that's when you get two conflicting ideas in your head and it causes kind of a pain, right? It causes a pain. So the classic example would be a smoker who enjoys smoking and then sees the picture of the blackened lungs on the packet of cigarettes. And that causes a pain because we want to believe we're the heroes of our story. We want to believe we're right. And what happens with cognitive dissonance is that we usually try and find a way out of it. So the smoker might say, well, yeah, but my granddad smoked and he lived to be 102. Or you eat the donut because you say, well, I walked here. I've been walking around shopping for ages, so I deserve a donut. We get rid of the cognitive dissonance. And, the reason it happens, the reason that those people attacked the journalist was because stories run deep, right? And I've been talking on this channel about how powerful stories are. They become us. We become our stories. And, you can see that very vividly, I think, in some of the debates that are happening. In the US, obviously, you've got the Democrats and Republicans at each other's throats. In the UK, we're having this Brexit spasm. And whichever side of the argument you're on, the chances are that you've become more entrenched in that side of the argument, whichever side it is, because... stories run deep, but if we're not careful, they create trenches, they create ruts. They allow us to simplify the world. And one of the ways that we simplify is saying, well, I know this is true, so I'm just going to ignore all that sort of stuff over there. And, that can be really dangerous. And so I suppose there's two things. One is the stories you're telling, if you're telling them well, can have really powerful consequences on your customers, your clients, and your tribe, and what have you. So we all need to be careful what stories we're telling. And I guess the other thing is we need to look at the stories that we're telling ourselves and just make sure that they're right. I mean, we don't have to do it out loud. We don't have to do it talking to a phone like I am here. But we need to sometimes step back and just examine, what it is we believe, and just make sure that it's serving us and serving the people around us and, the world in general, ideally. I'll give you a really simple example of something from my life. So for over 40 years, I told myself this story that I wasn't practical, that I couldn't do. Maybe I can put up a shelf, but that is about it. And that simplified the world, because it meant I just didn't have to worry about all those, all the things that were harder than that. I just, said, I can't do it. I'm just going to get someone to do it, or I'm going to ignore it. And then in 2018, we had the chance to buy this rundown little cottage, which is sat right next to ours. And although we were obviously going to be paying people to do the serious stuff, the structural stuff, and the electrical stuff and things like that. There was a shed load of practical work that needed to be done. There was taking down ceilings and knocking plaster off the walls and cutting insulation and putting insulation into the roof and, building all these bits and pieces. And that meant I really had to change my story, because we couldn't afford to pay people to do all of it. It was it was an expensive project. Anyway, the place that I'm talking to you from, sorry, spasm. The place that I'm talking to you from is that little cottage, and what you can see around me and behind me is the result of the work we've done, the result of me changing my story. And I've changed it to a story which says, well, I haven't done much practical stuff in my life, but actually, do you know what? If I try, I can do it. And yes, that means I've probably got more practical jobs in my future, but that's okay, because I've learned that I can do it. And I just think it's important that we, stories become the kind of the framework, the skeleton upon which our lives hang, and we really need to make sure that we're telling ourselves the right ones. Anyway, that's turned out quite long, but it's important because there is a dark side to stories, and personally, professionally, and sort of societally. And I want to make sure that when we're using the tools and the techniques that are in this channel, we're using them to do good things.